So a lot of people have just there's been so much anticipation all week. I think people are finally glad to see some action happening. So many people have expressed excitement. They're sitting on the edge of their seat. They're waiting to see what happens next. I'm a little further in the north, in Manbij, where it's a town under ISIS, and it's quite quiet now, and it's where the U.S. bases are all surrounding. And the response there was, overwhelmed with excitement that the U.S. was engaged in Syria and that finally people in the international community cared. And there was also a sense of protection having the U.S. here, that they won't be the next victims of chemical attacks here. So I think people have really underestimated how much a lot of the Syrian people really value having the U.S. presence there, and the fact that people are still willing, 7 years into this war, to fight for these people who have just suffered so much through the duration of this. So people are really excited and waiting to kind of see what happens next, and they're hoping for more. They're hoping for something that's bigger and larger, so we'll see what happens.
You know, this has been such an overwhelming humanitarian catastrophe that the world basically let this go on. Do they fear, Hollie, that, it'll be business as usual just after the last attack last year, that Assad will still continue, whether it's chemical and or other attacks, continue to decimate his people?
Absolutely, and there is a huge swath of the population that definitely has that fear and looks at these attacks and is critical of it in the sense that they want more. It's not enough. They look at the chemical weapons attacks as a sideshow. This is a war that has killed possibly more than 1 million people. The UN stopped counting these numbers. So the chemical attacks, in comparison to this entire war, is only very small. And so they're definitely hoping that somebody, anybody, the U.S. is going to stay and see this through and at least pressure the communities to come together to the Geneva Conventions and try to bring an end to this protracted conflict.
And do they have any doubt, at the Russian claims and the Syrian claims that, this is all fake and it isn't true and it was set up by the British and the Americans, that there are no chemical attacks?
That's been going on for so long, since the beginning of this war. I think people are just very used to it now. It's a kind of an eye roll moment for a lot of the people that are in this environment. They're used to that. It's nothing new to them. And it's something that people have learned to pretty much brush aside as being the propaganda that it is. And they're just hoping that there won't be another chemical attack and that somehow this can come to an end. And I think for a majority of Syrian people outside of the Assad loyal base, they don't see a future of Syria with him at the helm. So the next step is what is the next step for Syria? And they're hoping that this latest involvement with the U.S. will bring us to that conclusion.
And that eventually, they say, would be the Geneva process. So, of course, we should see Hollie McKay, who's in Syria this Saturday afternoon. Hollie, as always, thank you. Good to hear from you. Take care of yourself while you're there, and we'll be checking in with you a lot.
Thanks, Eric. Take care.
You too, Hollie.